All right. Today I am a glutton for punishment because I'm taking some of the questions that I'm going to try to answer that don't have black and white answers. This person writes, how long does it take to build a custom home from start to finish? So, this is a lot like when people call and say, how much does it cost to build a custom home? Depends on the plan. If you don't have that, then I'm not going to be able to give you a super detailed answer. If you do have that, then we can work up an estimate on it and we'll have a better idea of what it is going to cost to build. Same goes for the timeline. Now, I have said over the years that the timeline tends to be, I would think, the most focused on thing. Sorry for my eloquent English there, but the most important thing I can think of that people focus on when building a home, even over cost. Cost is huge and matters, but it's timeline. And I get that because this is a huge thing. It's a life-changing, move. You want to, get into that house as soon as you can. So everybody wants to know about the time frame. The problem as a custom builder, and really any builder, is that there are a lot of variables at play. So one thing I tell people when we are getting into this process is I really start the clock ticking from the time we pour your foundation. Why is that? Because that's the time I know we can actually be moving on the house. The foundation gets poured, we can start framing. The thing about a framer is, okay, it's raining today, they can't be on the job site framing, and it may be a muddy mess, but it's not raining tomorrow, so they'll be back out there framing. You can't say that for the front end of the project when you're trying to excavate and even set up the foundation. So I have had situations where, we sign the construction contract, let's say it's a cash deal, and so we're ready to go immediately. We have to pull permits and whatnot, but then we're released to build and it starts raining. We had a very rainy spring last spring, and it's about 2 months of just raining on and off. Every time it was just about dry enough to start excavation or working on a slab, it would rain again. And we're in Texas where the weather's pretty good. I couldn't imagine doing this up north and places like that. So obviously weather is a huge thing. That's kind of act of God stuff where none of us have any control over it. But it is also why I say don't start your clock ticking from the time we signed the contract or something like that. It's really when I have poured that foundation, I know at least at this point we can keep moving. We also have the issue of how complex is a build. Obviously, a really big, complex house, a mansion, is going to take a lot longer than a smaller home that has, pretty traditional design and finish out. However, as a builder, we generally, if we have your floor plan, we can look at it and at least give you a fair estimate. If somebody came to me with a 3,000 square foot living, kind of typical house, let's call it, if there is such a thing, I could look at that and go, yeah, that's a 9-month build somewhere in there, depending on, what's going on with the lot and things like that. Somebody may come to me with a 10,000 square foot, big house with all kinds of custom finish out. And I've had some of these, I've said, we're 2 years in that project, or we're going to be. So, and then as you're building, you revise those dates if things are moving faster, if things are moving slower, depending on weather and everything else going on with the project. So most builders will be able to give you some type of ballpark time frame, but just know there are a lot of things that they are dealing with that other types of manufacturers don't deal with. Let's say you're, Ford Motor Company or GMC. You've got a factory, you've got employees, you've got a supply chain, everything's there. Very few things are ever going to stop your production. If it takes you 2 days for a car to go through the production line, odds are that's always going to happen. Whereas we may say, hey, we can build this house in 6 months. And then, like I said a minute ago, we get a spring where it rains for 2 months straight and we can't even get it going. So there are things out of our control. Just a few years ago with the pandemic, we had the supply chain issues, and nobody had ever seen anything like that before, where we just couldn't get materials. So unique things can happen in this business. We've got a lot of variables happening that some other businesses don't have. But if you're talking to a builder, ask them about how long they think, and just know that expectations may be revised as you get into the process.